Yeah.
Are you oppositional as well? Do you argue with everything?
Yes, I do. I've been in the legal field for 38 years. I'm sorry.
Yeah, me too.
I'm
and
sorry,
I can
I
win,
know.
so just don't bother.
What's good, YouTube? Welcome back to Grim. This kid today needs some serious help from Dr. Phil because he can't seem to stop raging at his parents and legit just plays games from the minute he wakes up to the minute he goes to sleep. Keep watching because he freaks out quite a bit and it's wild to see. Without further ado, let's get into it, shall we?
What do you think makes you as angry as you get?
I honestly don't know.
I think this kid probably does know what makes him so angry, but it's, you know, probably not very fun to have to vent out your whole life situation on TV, especially when it's not that good sounding. I'm guessing it wasn't his idea to go on this show, even though he was optimistic about meeting Dr. Phil, so it's going to take a bit for this kid to open up, I bet.
Screaming at her and yelling bombs and threatening to smash her in the face with your controller. How do you feel afterwards?
Dude, this guy legit squares up to his mom and threatens her all the time just for asking him to pick up after himself or, you know, maybe go outside and do something with his life that day. Or she just expects him to be a decent human being, you know, at the bare minimum. And I think both parents just don't understand the environment this kid is in. You know, when you're young and depressed but not quite able to realize what's going on in your head, it's easy to just shut down and want to do nothing all day, every day. Then when your parents are on your back about it and not understanding or asking why you're feeling that way and instead just coaching you through life, it's easier to just slide further and further down that hill until you're basically like this kid and meeting the bare minimum of human existence every single day, and that's it. You know, he's breathing, eating, and drinking, and that's about all he does with his day besides video games. Now, this situation does not excuse his actions that this kid has been doing, okay? Like, he legit screams at his parents and calls them by their first name, which is weird in my opinion, and a great indicator when someone has a really bad relationship with their parent. Like, that's always just weirded me out, but maybe, you know, that's just the way I was raised. You call your mom mom and you call your dad dad. But yeah, he should not be threatening his parents like that or flipping out at them over nothing despite how bored or sad he might be. Like, that's just never okay. Your parents want the best for you, and I know you want to play video games all day, but it's probably not good for your development to just be sitting in front of your computer and not going to school, or Xbox I should say. Did
you give yourself permission to speak to your parents in a disrespectful way?
I don't even remember.
You know what? I'm glad Dr. Phil is taking no time and waiting around and, you know, beating around the bush. Instead, he legit wants to know what happened in this kid's mind to make it to where it's okay for him to be threatening his parents like that. Like I said in the intro, he gets very heated, and there's even clips of him screaming at his dad, telling them that he's going to stab him that night while he's sleeping. Talk about being a little crazy. Like, I'm sure Dr. Phil is going to work through this with him, but it's nice that he's setting the tone and letting this kid know how not okay that is to be doing, no matter what the circumstances are. Honestly, I think this kid is old enough to know right from wrong, but I mean, he probably just has a lot of things in his life that have contributed to this unchecked anger problem that he has, and I mean, that's what happens when he flies off the hinges. He has no really support system to work through it, so instead he just freaks out and threatens his parents.
You know, if we could unscrew the top of your head and look down inside while all that's going on, it would scare the hell out of us, wouldn't it?
So I'm not going to show it because they are long clips and they have tons of words that would allow YouTube to remove any ability from me making money off this video, but they just got done showing a montage of this dad's reactions to his kid, and let's just say it's far from pretty and definitely not what you should be doing as a father. It goes to show why this kid has so many anger problems too. I mean, he directly jumps to threatening his parents with violence. He is simply a product of his environment, and this dad of his goes crazier than him when he's angry, so that's probably where he learned it from.
You're expressing it in anger, because angry people have the attitude to get them before they get me.
I like Dr. Phil's breakdown of anger here. He's not even being straight up, you know, attacking towards the father, even though he probably would be within his means to do so. Instead, he's talking to the father like a human being and explaining to him why he's flipping out and getting into these shouting matches with his son. And it's all because, I mean, to be completely honest, he's just insecure and fighting against some sort of pain in his life. Now, I know nothing about this dad, and me and Dr. Phil are not excusing him for this disgusting behavior, but instead, I think talking to people like how Dr. Phil does is much more effective than shaming them for what they have been doing. Allowing them to work through it backwards and kind of retrace the steps of their emotions allows them to see it from a third-person perspective so that they're, one, way less biased, and two, less defensive, which is always good. I mean, that's a genius approach, honestly.
I was raised, I saw a lot of violence when I was young.
So sounds like this father is just a product of his environment as well. He explained that his dad was even a very violent person when he was being raised, and as a result, he kind of was just in a household as a kid that was surrounded by that kind of vibe and thought nothing differently of it. You know, I mean, it doesn't help that he has these anger problems as well, and is also raising literally one of the most annoying kids ever, I'm sure. I mean, just hearing this kid talk is annoying to me, and that combination just leads to some heated moments around the household. So now he's sadly passing on that chain to his son, who I'm sure would have passed it on to his child if he ever has them, not looking likely at this point. And if they had not had the smarts to intervene like this and try to get some actual help, it could have just continued on for generations. You know, it's sad that Dr. Phil's show wasn't around to help this guy out when he was a kid, but regardless, this cycle of just being a bad dad needs to stop. So hopefully this is a step in the right direction.
So I say, well, all right, let's see where this child's living. He's living in a prison experiment.
So for those who don't know, the Stanford Prison Experiment is actually a very famous psychological trial that happened over 50 years ago, I believe. And Dr. Phil is basically saying that these people's home is like that same prison experiment, all right? So basically this guy thought of having a bunch of his college students randomly chosen to either be prisoners or guards. And needless to say, within the first few days, it got so real that they had to cancel the test because it was just a massive violation of human rights, basically. And it's a really interesting thing. If you want to learn more about it, there's documentaries out there. I know I watched one in high school, but it is very intense, just a fair warning. But what Dr. Phil is saying is that since this kid isn't going to school and the mom is staying at home since she needs a caretaker, basically, since she's in a wheelchair, and the dad is pretty much only home for a couple hours, that makes it to where this woman and her son are in their own little bubble that causes these tensions to rise quicker than normally. You know, they're not really coexisting with society, so to say. So they just have this total power dynamic that is way off, and it allows them to live in this fantasy land where it's okay to threaten your parents or fight with your kids. Like, neither of those things are okay, but they're both doing it on a regular daily basis, and it's because they're so shut off from the world, and no one else is in this picture that's able to, you know, set them straight besides Dr. Phil now, thank God.
So guys, real quick, I have a super fast challenge that only takes 5 seconds to complete. So if you can leave a like and subscribe within the next 5 seconds, you'll get 10 years of amazing luck. Just give it a try, it really works.
I mean, you're just so down about yourself, and then you've got two men in your life that remind you of it every day.
The situation is at a standstill because everyone in the house is at fault. The mom doesn't know how to be an involved parent, so she's mostly absent besides when she needs him to clean up after himself, and she has such a low self-esteem from them constantly yelling at her and berating her, so she basically just removes herself from the situation, which I've seen in the clips here. She kind of just takes a step back and then eggs the kid on all day, and I mean, that just causes a toxic, volatile relationship. And then the dad is miserable, so he just freaks out on the kid, and in turn the kid freaks out on him. It's a hostile environment for everyone involved, and until they start to admit their own faults, they won't make any progress. All right, things are just going to get worse and worse, and that's what Dr. Phil is really trying to explain to them right now.
It's kind of like if you back out of the driveway and run over my foot, the fact that you didn't mean it, my foot feels the same.
I freaking love Dr. Phil's little quips he has, dude. He's able to sound so smart, saying the dumbest sounding things, I swear. It's true though, whether or not this dad knows how much harm he's bringing his family by being so tense all the time, it doesn't matter, alright? He's still causing these major fights, and the wife steps back and does nothing and just removes herself from the situation, which is a fault for her too. I'm sure she just does that to be easier, but I mean, he's just trying to get these people to realize that this is one giant mess that is being caused by a ton of little things that they need to get over or tweak before they can see any amount of progress.
You're negotiating with your child to take a shower.
Well, I was kind of bargaining, I consider it.
It's pretty clear that this kid just does not care at this point, and his toxic attitude towards his parents make it to where they get to a point in their relationship that just no parent should be at, alright? You shouldn't have to bribe your teenage son to get off his video games and take a shower that week. If you're seriously having to give them money to have basic hygiene, I'm sorry, you just completely dropped the ball as a parent. You're not raising a kid at that point that's a sewer rat or something, bruh. Like, come on, use a stern voice and tell the kid what to do. Enough of having him walk all over you because you're the parent and you're afraid to have these repercussions of yelling at him. You have the ability to remove his Xbox or something, like literally do anything. I'm sure it's difficult for this mom because she's used to just giving him what he wants because that's easier, but I mean, look how far that's taken him. He's still functioning like a toddler, expecting his mommy to clean his room and his undies most likely and make food for him. I mean, honestly, force your kid to grow up a bit, please. You know, overall, this kid is just a mess, and it seems like until Dr. Phil told these parents this very simple stuff, they just didn't understand what they were doing wrong. which is mind-blowing because I'm literally half their age probably, if not less, and I could tell in an instant what this dynamic is that's causing them to get more and more vile. To be honest though, he just needs to grow up, and if that takes some tough love in the process, then so be it. When he breaks stuff out of rage, stop replacing it, and when he talks to you like that, take away his games and threaten other repercussions, alright? He can go cry in the corner like a 5-year-old if he wants. Be nicer to your parents, start working towards your goals if you want them. Nobody is gonna hand you anything in this life, and as sad as that may be to hear, it's true. So let me know what you guys thought of this video down in the comments below, and as always, I'll see you guys in the next one. Until then, peace out.